This is the limestone lowdown. Hear the sound when you lie to the issues all around. From every corner, let's make it clear. The change we need is starting here.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Limestone Lowdown. And today we have a special guest, a recurring guest, Mrs Kellie. So
she was on here previously kind of talking about her experience living right on the county line next to the Grayson Carterson asphalt plant. And
don't be an asphalt, right?
Yeah.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. And she kind of talked about some of the hurdles that she's dealt with dealing with Grayson Carterson's corporation and stuff within the city and the county limits. And she just announced a few weeks ago that she was going to be running for City Council District 3. She is stretched super, super thin. So she's like, you know what, if not now, when? So Kellie, talk a little bit about why you decided to run and what you're running on.
Absolutely. So just a quick reminder about myself for anyone that is new or didn't have a chance to listen to the last podcast. So my father is retired military. So I actually graduated high school down near Montgomery from Wetumpka High School too many years ago. But so I have always had a love for Alabama. We had moved out west to continue education. That's where I met my husband. We finished schooling out there, and then he had come out and he was doing some consulting work out here, and he fell in love with it as well. And we were ready for a little change, and so we decided to pick up our adorable little family. I'll say they're adorable. I can say that. But we came out and moved out here, and we just kept being drawn back to Athens, and it's just a beautiful area. It's such an inviting community. We found our house and we love it. At that time, unfortunately for us, the asphalt plant was not up fully running. We were not aware of the whole situation that had happened to get them de-annexed out of the city. And over the past year, it has just been a continuous line of hurdles that we've had to deal with. I'm going to say fighting against this corporation, and unfortunately that has extended into the county and city level as well. So, again, we still love this area. The people are amazing. They're kind. And this is just such a great area. The community is, they're real. The things that, the events that the city currently has to offer does a great job bringing in the community. But I do feel that it can be better. And that is what ultimately led me to make this decision to run for our District 3. Being pretty much the most southern part of Athens, I felt that we have just been, I don't want to say neglected, but I think that our voices have just not been heard as loudly as they need to be. Each district, you go into it, and each district holds their own challenges for sure. There's just a different dynamic in each of the districts. But when you come down here, I just feel that...
Well, you're kind of out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a little bit more land out here. We still have quite a bit of farm land out here as well. And so, and there's a different need that is held with that than, in, say, downtown Athens proper. But with all of that said, I just felt that our needs and concerns have not been met and addressed properly. And so that was kind of my main motivation for
and
doing
then
this.
too, Mr. Lucas being 86, like nobody would have dreamed that he was going to run again. And so I think that was a shock because you had kind of tossed the idea about running before finding out that he was going to run, and then now, and so I know that one of the big concerns with District 3 has been Strain Road. I think one side of Strain Road is District 3 and one side's District 2. Is that right?
I don't know, but
one side's on one side of Lindsay Lane, then the other side. That's
65 splits it.
Yes. Okay.
So I would have to look at
actually, I believe Lindsay Lane divides District 2 and District 3. What I don't know is how far north on Lindsay Lane it does a weird loopy thing.
And
so
they just rezoned them
like a year
ago. They had just rezoned.
So everybody remember that. 2024, right? Or 23 or 24, it was rezoned. So we've seen some people with some confusing yard signs.
Like,
right?
I think
Wait a
that's
minute.
the
I think
wrong-
that's not in there. So everybody needs to go check the updated map on the archaic, as a lady said, Athens website. Go check and see where you're actually at.
Yeah.
And
And it
because
is
you're
listed as updated, and I do
Yes.
believe it is 2024. It does
Correct.
say that.
Okay.
So it specifically states updated.
so everybody go check that out and make sure you're still
In the
right
right
district.
And y'all have got 4 people in your area. You are probably the youngest by 20 plus years.
That sounds about correct.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't ever want to make anything that I say come across as negative towards anyone.
Right,
That is
absolutely.
not a platform that I want to approach.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have concerns with where other representatives might want to lead us. A lot of as you guys might be able to tell, I'm fairly passionate in what I believe in. But that carries over not just to myself and to my family, but to my community.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we are not healthy and working together as a community and fighting together, it's going to make it really hard to get things accomplished.
Well, one thing I've noticed with city council meetings, and I don't consider myself a pro, but we've been at every single one over the last year. And so we've been to like 26 of these. And I think that, this is more than just a 2 meeting. These positions are more than just 2 meetings a month. Like, it's more than 3 or 4 hours. Like, you need to
read up, know what's going on. And I think also between us talking and our own experiences with the whole asphalt plant situation, that there has to be some cooperation between the city and the county, and there is zero. They want to act like
asked, and they didn't really.
Well, no, that's not. But I'm just saying it needs to be.
Well, and that is one of my big pushes. And again, I'm going to use the word platform.
Yeah.
Y'all, I'm not a super political person, but I, again, am passionate. So please forgive me if I sound naive or ignorant in this. That is not my intention on any of this at all. I am willing to be educated and to be learned and to be taught. Mm-hmm. But I will say that for the last year, I have been working to the best of my ability to communicate with the county. And at a city level and a county level, I really feel that there is no communication.
There's not.
And seeing that between the unfortunately, I'm not able to attend many of the city meetings due to the time constraint. Mm-hmm. The county meetings are in the mornings, which is more feasible with my current situation. So I'm able to attend those, but I am not seeing any communication between the two, and it really concerns me with the lack of sight of how important it is to be able to communicate between a city and county, because the two impact each other so
and it would be
intensely.
completely different if we had stagnant growth or just minuscule growth. But with all this growth, it's imperative that they have to work together. Everybody needs to be on the same page, and it's clearly evident that we're not, and that's leading to all these other issues.
Well, and then one thing that we've noticed is that, like, the county will put stuff on the city and the city puts stuff on the county, and there's no, come together. It's not like nobody says, hey, let me put this on my to-do list so that I can update you at the next meeting on the outcome of that. They just, to me, what I've seen is they just put it off on one another, and that's where that transparency with each other and working together on, the infrastructure for this new growth that's coming in. I mean, all these new houses, and they're doing all this, passing all the zoning for a lot of these houses that are coming in that's on the projected map that Mayor Marks talked about at the State of the City address. He was like, we've got 9,000 new houses on the horizon. Well, because that was one of my questions that I had asked him a couple months ago was, we're doing this rezoning. Are these part of those? And he was like, yes, they are. So they're already projected, and then now we're going through and seeing the rezoning of those areas, probably for Roy Long too. Those are probably on that projection of part of that growth, but it's just now being brought to y'all that there's a sign, hey, there's going to be a zoning. There's going to be a public hearing in the next couple months about.
Well, and it's the city of Athens and Limestone County by themselves can't stop Huntsville.
Correct.
But I just have to feel that if we work together, we can. And that's what people want. People said, stop Huntsville, stop Huntsville. I am tired of hearing, we can't do anything, we can't do anything, we can't do anything. I'm sorry, if you can't do anything, then why are you here?
Yeah.
Like, leaders lead, they find option. May not be the best option, but anything's better than the nothing that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Well, and from my perspective, I just feel like there are not a lot of people that are willing to stand up and fight for that.
Well, it's hard.
It's hard.
We can state that.
You get ridiculed, you get criticized, you get shut down, you get pushed in a corner. The list goes on and on because the vocal people are the ones that usually are different than you. There's a silent majority that agree with everything that you have said, that we have said, that others have said, but it's a few and far between on ones that actually are able to step up and fight, or the ones that have the courage to, because it's hard. It's not.
Well, it's hard and it's scary.
It is
a little bit, and I absolutely respect that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, with the passion that I have to go and honestly try to work together to create a more cohesive community between city, between county, between districts even.
I know out where you live, that was like off Roy Long, which I know you don't live off Roy Long, but you had mentioned that's in your district.
Correct.
And those new apartments, or your, I guess,
multi-family dwellings, I believe is the word.
High density.
Yes, I believe that's
and
correct,
you were like, that's most likely going to be apartments, which is fine. There's several apartments like down that road. But what are your takes on, like, what's the need for helping that infrastructure or those roads with the traffic?
So infrastructure, that's a tricky word. So I know that our minds, when we say infrastructure, we go to roads, we go to sewer, we go to water, we go to trash, we go to and that is a viable concern, and it needs to be addressed. But it also, in addition to that, it's the emergency services, the EMTs, the fire trucks, the retaining our amazingly trained emergency services, our police.
Well, that's what we've said. Okay, we're 2 fire trucks behind. We're renting fire trucks. So we're going to get 2. We're going to get one at the end of the year and another one. But with so many houses coming in, we haven't planned for another fire station. We haven't ordered more fire trucks.
And I didn't realize.
You know what I mean?
I didn't realize that this was something that I recently learned, that if an apartment complex is higher than a certain, you have to have a certain type of fire truck.
More expensive type.
Can reach the taller.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. The ladder trucks.
So it's like, what are those things? So for the fire trucks, that's a whole nother, issue, but adding in those apartments brings in more people. That brings more people to the community. And like we said before, it's not like we're anti the people coming here, but we want them here, they're coming here, but let's make it safe for everybody. Let's make the infrastructure. I know that's been one of your favorite topics.
It's more than just roads.
It's more than just the roads. But yeah, so Roy Long, I mean, I know even coming from like the west side of Athens, headed to work, like, I work in Huntsville, Jared works in Decatur. Roy Long is our connecting road. It's a 2-lane road. So if these apartments are part of this 2040 plan, because remember, the mayor told us at the State of the City, there was an additional, I've heard 7,500 and I've heard 9,000. So it's one of the two. But if we're adding that many more houses or apartments or whatever else, you do have your your roads for the infrastructure. You've got your water, you've got your sewage. That brings in more first responder vehicles, more garbage truck vehicles.
Well, but not just the vehicles and not just the road. We're talking about the personnel.
Right.
The trained personnel that
right.
we need to employ, that we need to train, that we need to keep here in our area. We've got a beautiful area. We want to keep these trained personnel here. but we also need to find them. And so this is, I feel a lot of that translation into that industrial, and that's, or excuse me, not industrial, that infrastructure. That's where I think a little bit of it gets lost in that translation, and that worries me a lot. We keep trying to focus on these roads, which please don't interpret that as saying that the roads aren't important, because they absolutely are. But being able to have these roads that can facilitate a fire truck being able to get into these apartments on these roads. Our roads here aren't as wide as other roads, and that's just
even like Mark has mentioned several times, like with the school buses on North Jefferson Street, like being able to make those turns, emergency vehicles, the fire trucks not being able to make those turns. What does that look like for the infrastructure out here? Like we're on residential county 2-lane roads. And are we going to need to make these roads 4-lane? Do we need to add turn lanes? Do we need to add, the overpasses? And when you mentioned that about the personnel, Athens isn't typically a place you move to for a job. Your job is in Decatur or Huntsville. And so you come here with a job somewhere else. But we need more of those first responders. I know that 2 of the mayor candidates just did a post recently. One was talking about how they wanted to make first responders a priority, and I think there was kind of a retort to that, saying that they're in the process of trying to hire more police officers. But if the pay is not high enough, you're not going to get people to apply. And people don't move to Athens looking for a job in Athens typically. Yeah. So how do we advertise that to be like, hey, because like you're saying that they're going to have to build a new fire department out here with all this growth. They're not going to be able to just have the ones that we have. They're going to have to add another one specifically out this way because there is so much farmland and so much growth that's coming out here.
Absolutely. Well, I think a lot of again, that silly infrastructure word, but not just to encourage people to move out here. We need to be able to forecast future growth, and we know that the growth is already here. It happened fast.
It
did.
That.
Like it's here. But with that, I feel like we are so far behind in grocery stores.
Yeah.
In access to medical care.
Yeah.
You mentioned when you had your twins and they had to be
cared
in the
NICU.
It took an hour. It was an hour each way.
Oh yeah, to Crestwood. Yeah,
and this is not something that's uncommon. So
with visiting hours, like we couldn't come back home in between visits. It was when we went, we just had to go and stay all day. Fortunately, we knew that our stay was going to be short lived. We knew it was only going to be for a few days. By the time I came home, but nonetheless, like packing up to drive all day, where when I had my kids earlier, I lived closer to Huntsville, so I could go home in between visits. But yeah, I mean, it's a good hour drive into Huntsville, hit or miss on traffic. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the things that you recently and you reminded me, because I remembered when it happened, but that the city annexed some property into the city for a hospital that Huntsville Hospital bought. Yes. Yeah. So it was almost like they did all of the preliminary work to plan for this hospital. And we've not had a chance to reach out to city or even county officials to get confirmation on the process of this. But it has been...
It was the last articles that I was able to find, the last anything I could find was in October of 2023. So we're going on almost 2.5 years of having this announcement of what I'm going to assume is going to be an amazing facility. The property that they have is a wonderful location.
It's like 80 acres, right off 31.
Right off the 31, close to the 65.
Yeah.
It's close to Buc-ee's.
Right, to Buc-ee's.
But then it went silent.
Right.
And there's nothing. But that's part of where that infrastructure is coming back into play. Like, why is it taking so long? And again, like you said, we just have not had time to be able to get a little bit more in depth on this. But
a lot of people have mentioned that our hospital, with all the growth, was not going to be big enough. And I think that the first meeting or the first stuff that we had found was in like 2022, and then there was a few articles into 2023 about that property. But yeah, with all this growth, like we want to have like a tier 1 hospital. We want to have something like UAB's got. I mean, it may not be as large as UAB because UAB is huge, and it may not be as large as Huntsville, Crestwood, or even Madison Hospital, but I mean, I think that we've got enough growth that would warrant that.
Well, and you say want, I don't even see it as a want
Right.
anymore. This
It's
is
a
a
need.
need. So, the population's growing, and with that, the care is going to have to be here. This may come down to a situation where it is literally life and death, given the time frame of getting us to the next closest facility. And so it's just been frustrating for me to be able to look into this and see that we have started it, but it just isn't going anywhere. And I don't understand that part yet. But that is one of my big things. Like, I know that our city has potential for so many great avenues to provide these services to our community.
And I think that, too, it's almost like it needs to be said that so many people almost get offended that you bring up, like, hey, what's going on with this hospital? And it's not meant to be combative. It's not meant to be argumentative. It's just, hey, the city annexed this over 2 years ago. If you can just give an update, whether it be that, you're like you had asked someone on social media about it, and they said that maybe the city planner, that they were working some stuff with the sewage or, something like that. But I've been at every single city council meeting for the last 11 months. The hospital has not been mentioned. They've not passed anything. And one of the things that I've noticed when they're bringing in new businesses is that the city usually gives money or matches money on doing road improvements, because the buildings, the businesses coming here, or the hospital or whatever else would be coming here, well, to incentivize, it's like, well, we want to help with some road improvements. And I've not seen that in the last. So that is going to be interesting. Like, what's our timeline? And I get it. Like, the Huntsville Hospital owns it, so we're at their disposal when they build it. But nonetheless, if they bought it, it was 2 years ago, and it was annexed 2 years ago. But if they
have done it 2 years ago and we have done nothing to bring in that
right.
sewer in that time frame, it's
so
just going to continue to prolong the process.
Well, it's going to take a good year to get a hospital built, if not longer.
Absolutely.
And then, like we've talked about with the infrastructure, with the sewage, the personnel, I know that they'll, send doctors, and this will even be more of a desirable area for people to want to move here with your nurses and the staff and everything else. But then there's the traffic that everybody wants to talk about on 31. 72 is already awful. 31's catching up. I avoid Highway 72 like the plague.
Well, and let's go back to the Roylong Road and the Moyers Road.
Yeah.
These two roads connect.
Yeah.
Lindsay Lane and the 31, which are very used.
Oh yeah, heavy roads. They're my
and
connecting roads for sure.
And the traffic is only going to continue to increase, and especially if we are finally able to get this hospital here, that's only just going to make it that much more congested.
It is a huge necessity for sure.
I feel, again, I'm going to go back to my original statement. I just feel like South Athens has just not been well represented and well fought for in the aspects that I feel are so incredibly important to the growth that is already here, and I really feel is going to continue.
And that is, brings us to like your campaign. I know that when we had first started talking and you had shown interest in it, this was such a busy time in your life but you felt like, I might as well just put my name out there. I'm here. You've got kids in the community. I know that you've got 2 that are still in school. And so you want to see the city flourish. You want to see the county flourish and prosper and grow beautifully. You see the downtown area and I guess the east side just really it is so charming. And I mean that's why you moved here.
Every time we have someone come visit, I'm like, we have to go downtown. It's such a cute little area. I love the boutiques. I love UG White's. One of my favorite places to take people.
I love UG White's. The coffee shop. I'm there probably 3 or 4 days.
And the kids that work there they're just
phenomenal.
They're so kind.
Two of my little baristas have left me, and I've been sad. But they, they've one has moved on to work at the courthouse. But that is one of my favorite places. Village Pizza. That was one of Jared and I. That was one of our very first dates. It was in the middle of COVID, and they had the patio stuff, so we could go and sit outside. I love all the boutiques, and I've told people this. The pep rally on the square was my first event, and I was like, I felt like I was in a Hallmark movie. I loved it.
Well, and the small town parades that we're still able to have. My daughter, the freezing cold December parade that we had this year.
But you have to go.
So fun.
It
is. The town showed up and they supported.
They do.
That is Athens.
The town. It is Athens. The town shows. They show out. They really do. They are there for its people. Whether it be a benefit, whether it be for leisure. They show out. That is a perfect and beautiful way to put it. And you've got a beautiful piece of property, a homestead in the city.
Exactly.
We've got 4 acres, so we don't get to claim the homestead and have all the fun farm things. We do have a few goats, but you've got a beautiful piece of property, and I wish you all the best on the campaign. I think that you would make a wonderful representative for District 3, and seeing that it has been neglected over even just the short time that you've been here, but that there are wonderful ways to improve it. Not to say that we're saying anything bad about anyone else that you're running against, but I want you to end on a little bit on like your platform and what you have been representing for the last year.
My whole thing is the potential here. Mm-hmm. We have an amazing city. I feel that with my knowledge coming from cities, and I know I don't want to take away from the small town beauty that we have here. That is not my platform at all. The reason we moved here was for the small town. But with the growth that we've had, we are going to have to accommodate that. We are going to have to figure out how to be sustainable in moving forward. And I'm not talking just a couple of years. Even if I'm not here after 4 years, even if I'm not here for the next 4 years on a seat, I still want to see this community thrive and grow, because it's our home.
Right.
And we need the leadership that is willing to stand up and fight for our community. We need the leadership that is willing to listen to what everyone is saying. Are we going to be able to do everything that we want to do? We're going to try,
right?
But it takes time and it takes money. But again, this is not something that I want to set a base for decades to come.
Right. It's not anything. Nothing's going to be an overnight fix. And I think that, there's the 2040 map, and dissecting that and seeing what's best for our community. And then we have the Leading Limestone initiative, where they've hired somebody to come in and, okay, what is it that the people want? Let's bring some things in here. And I think, and we've talked about this, that we think that that's a great idea. They brought somebody, they spent, I'm sure it cost a pretty penny, but that's their job. They come in and they're able to have this measured growth. That's one of the things, that's Jared's word. And, do things appropriately, respectfully to the community with, it's not that we don't want people here. We want the people to come here, but we've got to take care of everybody in the process of that.
Absolutely.
Without hindering people's, the comforts of their own home and their sustainability.
Well, I'm bringing the comforts, the recreational aspects. And again, that wonderful infrastructure word of groceries, of medical care, of safe areas for us to drive, to walk, to go to the parks. It all comes together into one piece. And it's going to take a lot of effort and a lot of work on everyone's part.
Right, because one of the things that you mentioned just a few minutes ago was about the personnel. And that was something that just goes with it. With all of this growth and more businesses, we've got to have the personnel for it. Like, with the hospitals, with the more police officers, more firefighters, we've got to train them and to be able to represent our community. So
absolutely.
I always enjoy talking to you. It's always a pleasure, and I'm sure you'll be on again. So.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys having me.
All right. Well, till next time, guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
And that's a wrap for this episode of the Limestone Lowdown, where we break down the issues, keep you informed, and give you facts straight from the source. Remember, your voice matters. Your vote counts, and your community thrives when we stay engaged. Stay tuned. Stay stay informed, and stay involved. Until next time, keep questioning, keep advocating, and keep shaping the future of the Limestone area. We'll see you on the next Limestone Lowdown.